The Dallas Cowboys cornerback Trevon Diggs is under intense scrutiny as his decision to rehab away from the team's facilities could cost him $500,000 in 2025 salary. This decision has the potential to trigger a de-escalation clause in his contract, reducing his base salary by $500,000 unless he takes immediate action to participate in the team's offseason program. Diggs, who is recovering from surgery on his left knee, has chosen to complete his rehabilitation in Miami, far from the team's headquarters at the Star in Frisco. As a result, he has missed the first two phases of the Cowboys' off-season program, and most notably, has failed to take part in the organized team activities, OTAs, over the last 3 weeks. While the off-season program is generally voluntary, Diggs is bound by a clause in his contract that requires him to participate in 84.375% of it in order to avoid a significant pay cut. This clause is not an unfamiliar one to Cowboys players, especially those who have signed large contracts like Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Osa Odigizua. These provisions, which have long been a part of the Cowboys' contracts, almost guarantee player participation in team activities. However, Trevon Diggs now finds himself in uncharted territory. If the Cowboys choose to enforce the de-escalation clause, it will make him the first player in the organization to experience such a salary deduction. While Diggs' absence is understandable given his need to rehabilitate from an ACL injury, his contract clearly stipulates that players must rehabilitate under the supervision of the team's head trainer. The language of the agreement states that any rehabilitation conducted outside of the team's supervision will not count toward the required 84.375% participation threshold. In this case, Diggs is facing a stark choice: return to team facilities or risk losing a hefty chunk of his salary. Tensions are high between the player and the organization. Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer has confirmed that he spoke with Diggs recently, assuring the media that all reports surrounding Diggs' rehab were positive. According to Schottenheimer, Diggs has had a follow-up with team doctors, and all signs are positive regarding his recovery. But while the medical updates are encouraging, the issue remains that Diggs has yet to make his way back to the Star for mandatory participation. Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones echoed Schottenheimer's sentiment, praising Diggs' dedication to his recovery. However, Jones was quick to add that the Cowboys would prefer that Diggs rehab under the team's watchful eye. Our understanding is that he's getting the necessary work done, and he'll be back with us soon. We expect to get a good look at him during Minicamp next week, Jones said, hinting at the critical juncture the team and Diggs find themselves in as the mandatory Minicamp looms. It's not the first time that Diggs' approach to rehabilitation has caused concern within the organization. Last year, there was already some friction about how Diggs managed his recovery process following his ACL injury. Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones publicly spoke about his hopes for Diggs' recovery, stressing the importance of a diligent rehab process. If he works hard and stays focused, he'll get back sooner and stronger, Jones said at the time. But if he doesn't put in the effort, it could delay his return and make him more susceptible to injury. He's learned that the hard way. I believe he understands the gravity of this rehab. In 2023, Diggs suffered a torn ACL during practice, ahead of the third game of the season, and the injury limited him to just 11 games. His recovery from the ACL tear and subsequent issues with his knee have placed his availability in question for the upcoming season. To repair the damaged tissue, Diggs underwent a chondral tissue graft in January, which involved transplanting bone and cartilage into his knee to improve joint function. The timing of the surgery was carefully planned to allow the graft to grow and optimize the chances of a successful outcome. As a result, Diggs is expected to start training camp on the physically unable to perform PUP list, a designation that would sideline him for at least the first 4 games of the 2025 season if he's unable to return in time. While the Cowboys are optimistic about his eventual return, there is still uncertainty regarding his availability. In fact, the Cowboys have significant depth concerns at cornerback heading into the new season. With Diggs' injury and the departure of nickel cornerback Jordan Lewis in free agency, the Cowboys will need to lean heavily on other players to step up. Fortunately, the Cowboys do have promising options at cornerback. Pro Bowler DaRon Bland, who missed much of the 2023 season due to a foot injury, is now healthy and ready to contribute.